Good evening, everybody. Thanks for watching our show. We're live, Pittsburgh Sportsline live in the BPTV studios. Thanks for watching us. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine, Chip Hayner, and Smoking Jim Frazier. We're all here. Hope you're doing well with COVID and staying safe and healthy like we are. We enjoy doing our show. We're hopeful that you're entertained by some of our true and some of Smoking Jim's quotes. And I just wanted to share that he gave me a gift card for my birthday for Pasta 2. It's right down the street. So I got my eggplant parmesan. My son got his meal. I didn't even want to explain it to you because you never heard of chicken Alfredo. So we don't want to even get that. So we won't talk about that with angel hair pasta. I don't want to mess with you on that. I saved him one of the slices of the eggplant, and I had ziti as my side pasta. So he has eggplant for the first time, and he didn't even know what ziti is. He thought it was some beautiful woman named Ziti. But it's not. Stripper. Yeah. and that's the real name, so that's a little update. Thanks for watching us on Comcast 7, only in Bethel Park. Thanks for watching us on Verizon 32, all the way from Nemacolin to Cranberry, Wexford, and all points in between. We appreciate that. Thanks for all the likes on our page. 6,878 likes, so thank you very much for that. We appreciate you watching our shows and liking our page. We got some sports for you, but before that, I got to do some of my promos. We got Anthony in the control room. We got Ethan on camera, and I'll put up, if you can get this, look at that. The camera's all set up. Ethan got us lined up. Olive Oil's Pizzeria sponsors our show, even though we're not getting pizza and a hoagie, because Smoking Jim proved my point. I've been here since 25 after 6. He came in at 3 minutes to 7. How could we even share pizza if we have to eat outside the studio? And we got our masks on and we're social distancing. And someday we'll get back to Olive Oil's Pizzeria. But they're at Hillcrest Shopping Center. Go there, great Italian food. I had a phone call the other day from a gentleman, and he wanted Olive Oil's phone number for Brookline. And I said, I got bad news for you. They closed. He goes, I watch your show, and I wanted to order some food from them. So I gave him 412-831-1900, and he said, thank you for the number, and ordered his meal. Right. So thanks for watching our show. We appreciate that. Next up, the Bethel Park Historical Society Schoolhouse Arts and History Center, 2600 South Park Road. They're a nonprofit. They do events when we're allowed to have events. They have different things there that they do. They rent out rooms. They have events there. They have a library, old war uniforms from the different wars, and of course school yearbooks for Bethel Park High School going all the way back to when it was founded. So check it out. The building there is from 1905. They've remodeled it. They have my favorite tea shop, Reginald's Coffee. They're open for service. Check their hours. I think it's sometime from 6 to 2 or maybe in between that. And you can eat or you can have their donuts. They have Orem's Donuts once a week. And they have other different things for you. And you can sit out on the lawn. They have a nice grassy lawn. Bring a chair, Smoking Jim. You can drink your coffee there, and they got Wi-Fi. Maybe you can tie into that. But it's a great place to go, so check that out. Next up, we end each show in honor of Joey Fabus. He died at 9 years old, just before his 10th birthday 6 years ago. The Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation is a nonprofit. You can donate money there. Over 6 years, they raised over $100,000 to try to find a cure for the dreaded brain cancer, DIPG. So check out when we can have events. We're hoping to have the 5K 1 mile run where we've interviewed people and everybody dresses up as superheroes since that's what Joey liked. So check that out. Next up, Dave Cable likes to have a little fun at my expense. Look at that. Nice job, Ethan. Thank you. Tell them Uncle Al sent you. I want you for BPTV, 412-831-3304. Tell Dave Cable you want to run a camera like Ethan. You want the control room with video and audio and commercials like Anthony's doing there. How about it for an intern like Anthony? We appreciate what he's been doing. Thank you. Next up, another nonprofit, the Bethel Park Community Foundation. Go to bpcf.org, get an application. They have money for you from $100 to $5,000. I'm a trustee on the board. Get an app. When we have meetings, come there and plead your case on why you need money for your group doing great things in Bethel Park. So check it out. Next up, we have this We 21. They're a nonprofit. They're trying to do a We Love Gumbo. And it's supposed to be August 22nd. We're not sure. They canceled a little event that we had for yesterday because they had a couple people die. I think it was of COVID. So they're a little bit nervous in their community. So August 22nd may be up in the air. But it's supposed to be a great streaming program with Zoom accounts and different musicians from all around the area, maybe even out of the country. The Afro-American Musical Institute's world-renowned. They've been in business, I heard, over 37 years. Dr. J and Pam are world-renowned. They've been interviewed on international radio, TV, and local radio and TV. So really good people there. I met them both, and we're looking forward to that. So that's some coming attractions. Next up, we have another sponsor. He sponsors What's on Your Mind. Skeets Lewandowski of Skeets Service Station. They're located 6103 Route 88, red, white, and blue station. Smoking Jim's even been there. I think he even got his car inspected there. I'm not sure. But call them up, 724-348-4715. They work on anything and everything that runs on gas, cars, trucks, weed whackers, hedge trimmers, you name it, even boats, tractors, you name it. They have a forge. They make hooks on the wall for all of Smoking Jim's sweetie pictures. He just hangs them up on the wall. And many other things. So they even do drive shafts. They have a Pittsburgh Drive Shaft Company there. So they do all kind of great things on cars. Give them a call, again, 724-348-4715. And we start each show with What's on Your Mind, Smoking Jim Frazier.
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green,
fastball,
you got to see Levine. Now, Chipper, I came in a little bit late, but did I understand you correctly that you said there's a road near Route 51 that they renamed Black Lives Matter Boulevard?
No, they did not. No, they had a march yesterday commemorating the death of Johnny Gamage.
Okay, I misunderstood. This daylight savings.
What else is new?
This daylight savings time is throwing me off, man. I barely.
You don't sleep.
Time.
You don't sleep.
Yeah, it's only 4 months in, so I'm glad you recognize it.
Or would you believe I'm in a new entanglement? Is that the reason?
What's her name? What's her name?
Kim Kardashian. That's the love of my life, bro.
No.
I'm waiting for the.
I thought her hubby's running for president. I guess you're going to vote now.
Well, now that he's off his medicine. He said he only said that because he was off his medicine.
What?
So I don't know, guys.
That he's running for president.
Yeah.
What's his name?
What's it, Kanye West?
Is that a stripper?
Yeah.
You set him up, Chip. He's easy like that.
But hey, it looks like the baseball right around the corner. You know,
the essential sport.
The essential sport. Like I said, these guys, people are saying, well, these football players are, whining. No, there's not a football player who ever lived that looked forward to going to training camp. They're trying to get out of training camp. If I was the commissioner, I could solve the problem just like that. All football players, it's an essential sport. You worry about your family and kids and all that. Don't worry about that.
What?
You come to training camp. You can't leave. until 2 weeks after the season. You're quarantined for 2 weeks. You just got to go 6-7 months without seeing your family. We need football. But what's on my mind is, I hope I don't have to come in here and say this every week. Shut up and dribble. You know, I don't get my Old Testament theology from Nick Cannon. Now he's in hot water. If a lot of people don't know, he's a rapper, he's a movie star, he's a mediocre guy. But listen, if you play football,
How do you really feel about him?
if you play football, shut up and dribble. If you play basketball, shut up and dribble. If you're a baseball player, shut up and dribble. If you're a hockey player, learn English. And after you learn English, shut up and dribble. These guys is getting themselves in trouble. I'm a firm believer in shut up and dribble. And that's what's on my mind.
Thank you, Smoking Jim. We appreciate it. I barely could digest your first part of this, but we got through it. Thank you. Chip Painter, what's on your mind?
What's on my mind? Well, what's on my mind, and Smoking Jim, football could possibly be played this year.
Yes.
It's going to be played in empty stadiums, just like it is in New Jersey, where the Jets and the Giants will play in front of no fans, where the Philadelphia Eagles will play in front of no fans.
Really?
That's the only 3 confirmed so far. The rest will yet to follow.
Well,
It's
luckily,
it's like dominoes, Jim. The first one has to drop, and then they all start falling. Okay?
Chip, let me explain something to the fans before we go on. Smoking Jim knows a lot of things, and he watches 2 football games a day. But if you ask him about the news or any world events, first, don't get a map out because he doesn't know any other countries, doesn't know the states. So all these things are actually new to him.
He knows where to find Gateway.
Yeah. No, that's one good thing that he knows. But I had to clarify that. That's a disclaimer there.
Okay, so you ask me what's on my mind.
Yes.
And once again, Roger Goodell has proven beyond a reasonable doubt that he's a buffoon, and he shall I refer to him as the owner's lackey. And the reason I bring this up is I think back a few years ago where Donald Sterling, who was the former owner of the Los Angeles Clippers, who was forced to sell his franchise because of his misdeeds. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got that. Well, we've got the NFL, and you've got Roger Goodell, who refuses to discipline any of the owners. And let me just give you a little sketch of some of the guys who have kind of fallen off the straight and narrow. You've got Jim Irsay, the owner of the Indianapolis Colts, who gets arrested for DUI and drug possession and everything, so they suspend him for 6 games. Now, isn't that really an intelligent punishment? You suspend an owner for 6 games. How do you suspend an owner for 6 games? Like, what wasn't he allowed to do? Come to the stadium? Okay, so we got.
No, he can't watch on TV.
We really dropped the hammer on him. Then you've got a franchise that has now been sanctioned 3 times for cheating under the same head coach, and then the owner gets caught in a prostitution sting on camera, and
wasn't he proven innocent somehow?
Now you know what? He had attorneys that would not allow that to be entered into.
Right.
But doesn't mean that it didn't happen.
No, I'm not saying that.
And so what do? You fine a multi-billionaire $1 million. That's like fining me $1.50. But I digress. Then you've got the Washington Football Club, okay, with all of the great press that they've had recently about their name change and everything.
Yeah.
Now you've got Daniel Snyder's franchise with a lawsuit brought by 15 ex-employees for sexual harassment. Okay, so you've got an environment that he helped to,
not good for women.
For his franchise, where women were harassed, sexually harassed, demeaned, whatever you have. But you know what? Are we going to force this man to sell his franchise because he's embarrassed the Shield? Probably not.
Nope.
Because guess what? He's right on the doorstep of making $1 billion off of his new naming rights and merchandise thing. So I find it laughable that Roger Goodell says that he's the commissioner of football, and he won't hesitate to suspend a player for whatever reason, or wait to suspend a player until somebody actually signs him to a contract. Oh, wait, he's not going to get signed to a contract because he retired. But how do you retire if you don't have a contract?
Yeah.
Somebody explain that to me. But be that as it may, he will suspend players for alleged grievances. Yet, what does he do to the ownership? He does absolutely nothing.
There.
And they've
Don't bother me.
embarrassed the Shield. And you know what? In my humble opinion, Roger Goodell, it's time to say goodbye. That's what's on my mind.
Well, he's not going anywhere because now he's back in Colin Kaepernick when he disrespected him the whole time. Now he's all for it, and social injustice, he recognizes it.
Roger
you
Goodell,
talk about a change.
Roger Goodell is a perfect example of not biting the hand that feeds him. And the owners are the ones that feed him, so he's not going to slap them.
Yeah,
Good point.
definitely. Good point. Thanks, Chip. What's on my mind? Unlike Smoking Jim, I enjoy baseball. That's my favorite sport since was growing up. I played it, enjoy it. So I wanted to see the first game. Chip sent me a message. Did you see the first inning? Or are you watching the game? I go, I just sat down. He goes, well, you missed Musgrove, had a great first inning. I said, I know. My son was yelling at me, come down. I was cleaning some dishes and stuff, because I do things like that, Smoking Jim. If we have a dishwasher, I clean them off, put them in there.
Jim's got his
Unlike
eyes.
you, the container I gave you, it's plastic. You can recycle it, throw it out, okay? Don't eat it. Eat the food. But I digress there. So I come down, get comfortable. We're watching the game, and I watch Musgrove play another couple innings, watch Brault, Cole. They all pitched pretty well. And I'm thinking this isn't too bad, but I'm waiting for the other foot, the shoe to fall, because this is the second part of spring training, and they really haven't played that much. And we've had a lot of changes with our coaches and team, and they don't really know each other like Smoking Jim knows the NFL, so they don't know that. So I have an open mind, and they ended up losing the game, but it was a good competitive game, and, they got tied up and then lost the game. So I was just happy to watch a whole game. I missed the first half inning, but I watched the whole game.
I did as well, Alan. And I tell you what, it took a little bit of getting used to
I didn't.
not having any, I know, not
You
having
never
any
watched
fans,
baseball anyhow.
not having any fans in the seats. But once you get past the fact that there's no fans in the seats and you focus on the baseball,
Right.
boy, it was like saying hello to an old friend.
No, it was. The only thing I found a little disconcerting was the crowd noise. That they put it in there. I would have rather, to be honest with you, just had it silent.
Well,
Because I can
I like
appreciate,
the plug-in crowd noise. I like
well, you would have liked it, but you don't like baseball, so why would you watch it? And you had some sweetie to go see, so that's the other thing. He doesn't post those pictures up for nothing, folks.
yeah.
There's some serious sweetie stuff
When I
going on.
texted him and told him that the essential sport was being played, I was expecting some kind of a response back.
He was busy.
Crickets.
He was sidetracked.
Crickets. I heard crickets.
No, that happens, but it was great to hear baseball's back, and they just played their second game. And, I'm not worried about the wins and losses till the season starts. And let's see, we got 60 games, and we'll see what happens. You got a new coach, new general manager, and you got some new players, and we'll see what happens. I'm optimistic. That's how I am each baseball season. And we'll do our best, and it's only a 60-game season, so it's a sprint. It's not a marathon, Smoking Jim. I can't tell you when they have a 10-game winning streak, they're going to win everything. I'll say it's a 60-game season. They might.
They got a new skipper too, right?
Yes. New manager, general manager.
New pitching coach.
Pitching coach, yeah. So they're starting anew. And we'll see what happens. So same owner, but we'll come back with some fiction and fact. I can't wait for Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Thanks, Al Levine, the Talking Machine, Chip Hayner, my man Ethan. And I tell you what, the guy on the 1s and 2, the wheels of steel back there, Anthony. Appreciate you guys. And I want to give a shout out to my 3-17 Pittsburgh Pirates. But hey, I love I'm glad we got a professional baseball team here. I'm glad we got my favorite player on the team, Frazier. And hey, beautiful stadium. And you can't win them all. You can't win them all.
Thanks, Smoking Jim. And that's it for Fiction and Fact.
But hey, you ever love somebody and hate them at the same time? I went to
What's her name?
I went to high school with a guy who was the fastest in the history of my high school. He won.
What year?
Yeah, he was.
We don't know.
He was a champion in the state in 100 and 200 meters, and he was ranked number 4 in the nation his senior year. And I hated his guts, and I never spoke to him.
Did he ever beat you in a race?
Listen, that's the reason I hated him.
That's
'cause
what I
could never
figured.
beat him.
Chip, did I nail it?
I was so competitive. Now, he was the superstar of the state, but I was team captain. And I hated the guy, never spoke to him. And it got so bad that every black kid grows up dreaming of winning a 100-yard dash. Everyone. This guy was so fast in 100 and 200, and we had some good talent on the team, but we wasn't a dominant team. So the coach made me run the 400 meters.
That's long.
That is like 2 miles for a black man. And I hated it. And, why don't they just throw me in a pool and make me swim? But
You wouldn't
Michael
swim.
Johnson.
Huh?
Not for Michael Johnson.
Yeah, he was great in it, man. But
They knew you couldn't swim, so they didn't want to do that.
man, I tell you what, L. Levine, the talking machine, and the funny part about it, when they used to let me run against him in 100, I had a quick start. So I get out the blocks quick.
Yeah.
And I had to see them braids he had. It wasn't too long when all I could see was the back of his noggin, brother. But I tell you what, how he got a scholarship to college, he was 6'3". He was built like a gazelle.
Yeah.
Fast. And how he got a scholarship to college, I would never know. Because he was always academically ineligible to play basketball half the basketball season.
Yeah.
Back then, I guess you could. But he ended up.
He might have done well on his SAT, or say he paid somebody to do his SAT.
Well, he used to sit down quicker than me on spelling bees. So, but Al Levine, the talking machine, he ended up going to a school in Missouri. There's an all-black college called Lincoln University in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
He got one in Missouri. He ended up being a 4-time All-American.
Yeah.
He
graduate?
according to Facebook.
Yeah.
But he got he ended up going to the Olympic trials in '84. I'm watching on TV, false started. A few years later, I'm watching Darryl Green, because he outran Darryl Green in college a few times. And Darryl Green outran Carl Lewis when he was in college. And they asked Darryl Green on the NFL Fastest Man competition, who was your biggest competition in college? He said Lyndon Bird. And had this guy played football, I mean, I never thought about it because he was great, but he played center on a basketball team.
6'3".
At 6'3".
Wow.
Never played football.
He got some jump.
Because we had some crazy white boys, and them brothers were scared. They were scared to go off of football for their legs getting broken. We had some hitters out there, machine. But he had NFL written all over him. I never spoke to him all through high school, through college. To this day, I wish I did. He reached out to me, Al Levine, the talking machine, about 5 or 6 years ago on Facebook.
I thought you were friends forever.
No, we just got to be friends. And he came to one of our shows.
I know, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
At Duke's. He wished me happy birthday Friday. And
because it was your birthday.
Yeah, went
officially.
To bed.
29th, right?
Yeah, he went to bed and never woke up. And
you're kidding.
So shout out to Lyndon Bird. I wish that we could have been friends in high school and college. We could have had some great days. I feel bad how competitive I was then. I hated him because I couldn't beat him.
Yeah.
Every time we raced, even in practice, I often thought, I want to take his knees out. Would the coach believe I tripped? I mean, making me run the 400 out. But
Wow.
one last story.
Give it to us.
He sacrificed. He won. He set the WPIL 200-meter record at Baldwin at the state qualifiers.
Yeah, they have a big event there every year.
So the coach, yeah. So we're there. I hated it because I would have to run the first race of the day and the last race of the day, which was the 1,600-meter relay. Everybody
Wow.
runs a 400. So I hated it because I had to be in
There.
game face all day. So to make a long story short, he sacrifices. He never ran nothing over the 200. So the coach, we had a pretty good track team.
Yeah.
And the coach, a relay team. And the coach thought we could go to states if he ran the mile relay.
Yeah.
So I told the coach, I said, hey, listen,
He can go in my place.
I know a little bit about brothers. I said, put him in lane 1. We only had to come in top 6 to go to states. We made it to the finals. They put him in lane 1. Now, he broke all kind of, he won the 100, the 200. He broke all kind of records that day, right? So they put him in lane. The reason I told the coach put him in lane 1 is because he got to kind of exert himself
Yeah.
to catch everybody
He runs a
in
short.
this relay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because everybody's so far ahead.
Right.
Time he handed, now I was the third leg. And then, so time he handed the baton off, he was 30 yards in front of everybody, right?
30 yards.
So the second guy goes, right? So now we're shooing to go to states, right, LV? He ran a 47 split, which is unheard of in high school.
Yeah.
You know, so LV, the talking machine, I'm the third man.
Yeah.
I get the baton. We're
What
still
happened?
in first place, barely.
Yeah.
Time I hand it off, we're still in first place. I hand it off to our hurdler, a guy named JJ, because he looked like JJ from Good Times.
No.
He, for the last 20 years, he's been the beat writer for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Wow.
I think this is the reason why he moved out of there to get away from me.
Yeah.
And this is something Lyndon Burr probably saved my career. I'm winded because I took everything I had. I mean, I sprinted the whole way, man. I'm winded. I look up. We're not first place. We're not second place. We're not third place. We're not in fourth place. I look. I'm thinking it's one of my race horses, man. He's 30 yards in last place. And I'm going to kill him when he comes to the finish because he was jogging.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go to states. And Lyndon Burr came over to me. He said, man, just don't do it. It ain't worth it. Thinking to myself, yeah, you got every gold thing hanging around your neck.
I just wanted one.
Yeah. Who's that with Lyndon Burr? But hey, rest in peace. Lyndon, I'm sorry I couldn't have been a better friend, but at least we had 5 years together, right?
5 years.
4 or 5 years
on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I cherish that friendship.
There you go.
Gone too
No, I
soon.
thought you were tight friends.
No,
you fooled me.
No, we never spoke. I wouldn't speak to him if we was in the elevator together. It was just
Wow.
us. Yeah, I hated him.
Unbelievable.
But loved his accomplishments. But
Well, he
hated
was
him.
from Gateway. Why not?
Yeah, hated him.
Thank you, Smoking Jim
Fastest
Frazier.
guy I ever seen, man. Him, Clinton Davis, Dwight Collins, and Vince Skillings.
Well,
Fastest I ever seen.
thank you for that. Anthony.
Oh, good evening, folks. Now we move on. Chip's Trivia today. And, Thursday marks the start of the 2020 Major League Baseball season. I didn't think that this day would come, but it's upon us. So that got me to thinking about this season. I guess we could call this an interrupted baseball season.
Yes,
okay,
for sure.
So I was thinking back about how many times have there been interrupted seasons in Major League Baseball
Wow.
history. And 11 previous times the Major League Baseball season was interrupted. The American sporting world came to a standstill in mid-March in response to the coronavirus pandemic. Major League Baseball joined with other leagues and colleges and put spring training on hold while announcing that opening day would be delayed. That marked at least the 11th time the game has been put on hold, the first time for medical reasons.
Wow.
Baseball was played from start to finish during World War II because President Franklin Roosevelt determined that it was good for American public to have a sense of normalcy. Baseball was easily the most popular sport in the United States in the 40s, and 500 major leaguers, including future Hall of Famers, Stan Musial, Joe DiMaggio, Yogi Berra, Pee Wee Reese, Hank Greenberg, along with 2,000 minor league players, left to join the military, according to the American Veterans Center.
Yeah, what an honor.
The game, however, went on. While World War II began in August 1914, it was not until after the 1917 season that the U.S. joined forces with the European allies and would come to an end in 1918. As a result, the loss of key players, including future Hall of Famers Pete Alexander, Harry Heilman, Red Faber, Judd Wilson of the Negro Leagues, baseball shortened its season. The final game was played on Labor Day. Teams finished the regular season having played as few as 123 games.
Wow.
Next, the 1972 Players' Strike. In its first major move, the fledgling Players' Union ignored the recommendation of leader Marvin Miller and went on strike over Major League Baseball contribution to the Players' Pension Plan. The 13-day strike resulted in lost dates that affected the American League pennant race. The Tigers won the American League East, finishing a half a game ahead of the Red Sox.
Wow. The curse of Babe Ruth struck again.
1973. The owners' lockout.
Wow.
This
I
was much
remember
ado
those
about
days.
nothing. The players were pushing for arbitration, and the owners resisted, locking players out of spring training. Eventually, the two sides were able to work out a 3-year working agreement, the players winning the right to arbitration.
Wow.
Next up, 1976. Again, the owners' lockout. The owners lost their fight to retain the reserve clause, first when arbitrator Peter Seitz ruled in favor of the players on December 23rd, 1975, granting free agency to pitchers Andy Messersmith and Dave McNally, opening the way to free agency. 6 weeks later, a federal judge, John Oliver, ruled in support of Seitz's ruling. Ownership locked the players out for the first 2 weeks of 1976 spring training, but finally relented. No regular season games were missed. Next, 1980, players' strike. The players wiped out the final 8 days of spring training by going on strike, but agreed to be ready opening day with the contingency that a new basic agreement had to be reached by May 23rd. While the two sides never agreed on free agent compensation, they did agree on everything else, and baseball avoided an in-season stoppage. 1981, players' strike. The disappointment of not landing an agreement on free agency compensation left baseball with an ugly scene in 1981. Ownership instituted free agent compensation of a draft choice and a player without approval from the players. The players went on strike June 11th and stayed out through August 10th. The result was a postseason determined by split season standings, and one that didn't include the Reds or the Cardinals, despite those National League clubs having the best overall records in their divisions. And then there was the 1985 players' strike. This is a battle over the salary cap to arbitration and the owner's contribution to the pension fund. The owners dropped the salary cap idea, increased the minimum salary from $40,000 to $60,000, and made a contribution to the pension plan of $33 million in '86, '87, '88, and $39 million in 1989. The next interrupted season, 1989. This was due to an earthquake.
Oh, I remember that.
Yes,
Yeah.
you do.
Yeah.
As the Athletics and Giants went through pregame workouts for Game 3 of the World Series, an earthquake shook the Bay Area, measuring 7.1.
I was watching the game.
I was too. On the Richter scale, it forced a 10-day delay between Games 2 and 3, Much to the advantage of the A's, Dave Stewart started and won games 1 and 3. Mike Moore started and won games 2 and 4. The two dominated, pitching 29 of a possible 36 innings. 1990, the owners' lockout in spring training to start the season started a week late, but the full 162 games were played. The owners wanted to create a fund for the players that included 48% of the gate revenue and all revenue from radio, television broadcast that was to fund a pay-for-performance system. The players balked after 32 days of spring training. Both sides reached an agreement. Next up, and this was one of the most heartbreaking years.
Yeah.
1994, 1995 players' strike. The owners took a hard stand on demands for revenue sharing, a plan tied to salary cap. The union was having no part of it. August 12th, the players went on strike that wiped out the remainder of the season, including the World Series, and delayed the start of the 1995 season. The stoppage lasted a total of 232 days. On an interesting note, the two best teams in Major League Baseball that year, by far, were the Cleveland Indians and Montreal Expos. And even though the Expos, now the Washington Nationals, won the World Series then, I think that would have been Cleveland's best opportunity to win a world title. They had a team that was completely stacked, and they got robbed of their moment in the sun.
Yeah.
Just, I guess that's what you call
a mistake on the lake, strikes
the
again.
luck of Cleveland. The next time, and the final time play stopped, September 11th, 2001. Terrorists hijacked 4 passenger airliners, carried out dual attacks on the World Trade Center. Everybody is very familiar with that. The Major League season was halted for a week while the U.S. mourned and regrouped. That year's World Series turned out to be an all-time classic that pitted the Yankees against the Diamondbacks, with Arizona winning on a Game 7 walk-off hit by Luis Gonzalez against none other than Mariano Rivera, who happened to be the last player in the major leagues that wore the uniform number 42.
Well, you don't count 2020?
This will be
this is the 11th time.
This is the 11th time.
You missed that in the opening.
See, you need to count like what I'm doing, but yes, sir.
It wasn't 10, A, B, C.
Well, when you have 11 like that, it kind of proves that you're a non-essential sport. But here's a question I have for you guys, your baseball gurus. Hopefully you know the answer. If you have a hitting streak and you get walked every time you come to bat, does that count against your game?
No, because when you are walked, that does not count as an at-bat.
It's not an at-bat, buddy.
It does not. So if you are on a hitting streak and you get to bat 4 times in that game and you get walked, you have no official at-bats that game.
If you get walked one time, that's still
that does not count as an at-bat. But if
the other 3 would.
The other 3
So
would.
if you didn't get a hit,
so if you didn't get a hit, then you would your streak would end.
Or say you walked 3 times, were up once and struck out. Your streak is
I
over.
could have sworn Barry Bonds, because he got walked so many times, I thought for sure he'd have that streak. Because like I said, I think that Joe DiMaggio, who used to be married to Marilyn Monroe, most beautiful girl in the world.
Who was way better looking than Kim Kardashian.
Well, I've never seen her, only in pictures, but the best looking girl I've ever seen was Anna Nicole Smith. In a close second is Kim Kardashian. But what I'm saying is, I just can't believe that somebody could play a game and only have to get 1 hit a game and can't do it. To me, that just blows my mind.
The game has been played professionally for 150 years, and Joe DiMaggio's hitting streak has happened once, and the next closest to us was 44 games.
Pete Rose.
44 games.
Yeah, Pete Rose.
The greatest singles hitter that won't be in the Hall of Fame.
I just can't. It seems easy to me.
Well, the problem is, whether you played baseball or not, we can't prove it. If you played baseball, you'd realize it.
Well, they say the hardest thing in the world to do.
But you haven't done it.
They say the hardest thing in the world to do is to hit a baseball, and I see a lot of people doing it.
No. Ted, no, you don't. As a matter of fact, Ted Williams said the single most difficult thing to do in professional sports is hit a round ball with a round bat that's being thrown at 90+ miles an hour.
And I see a lot of people doing it.
No, you don't.
don't
you
watch
don't. As
the
a matter
game.
of fact, the average batting average in major leagues is probably at one of its lowest points ever.
You know what?
Hitters are getting worse, not better.
You know what I don't see a lot of? Hole-in-ones on a golf course. Now, if you tell me that's one of the hardest things
When
to
do you
in
watch?
sports, if you consider golf a sport.
I know people that have had holes in one.
Yeah, but it doesn't happen that often.
But
Every
I know
time I
it-
turn on a baseball game, click, ting, boom, boom, another hit.
How many people are playing the game?
Take that pitcher out. He's getting batted around.
Yeah, but how many people are playing the game that aren't hitting like that?
Huh?
There's other players not hitting like that.
But if you're up 4 times, El Levine, the taco machine, you got your family and friends in the stands.
Yeah.
You can't get a hit?
Depends on the pitcher.
Oh, you know what? You know what happens with today's players is they strike out 4 times. They call that the golden sombrero.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The only thing worse than the golden sombrero is the Olympic rings.
Is that 5?
That's 5 strikeouts.
Wow. I never seen
Smoking
that.
Jim, you just don't know baseball, buddy.
I used to love it. I played it.
Bring
doubt
one
it.
witness. Tell
I
me
doubt
one
it.
player.
I doubt it.
Smoking Jim.
pitcher.
Here's how simple I'll make it. Just
Yes.
tell me who your catcher
You know
was.
what? You look more like a glass of water. You were no pitcher.
Just tell me the catcher's name. That's all I want to know.
Some seasons I went undefeated.
What year was that? We can't believe you, Smoking Jim. Bring in your catcher.
I went all the way to Pony League.
How about this? Tell me what your coach's name
I
was.
don't know.
Tell me your dad's name.
I don't know none
Wait
of
a
my
minute. Wait,
teachers
I
in
don't know.
school.
That's third base.
Yeah. Hey, Jim.
Tell me your dad's name.
I'm named after him.
You didn't tell me his name.
That was a good one.
That's how he is, folks. I'm just trying to tunnel it down and find the truth. All right, thanks, Chip Hayner. On location. Well, I've been repeating the last few weeks what it is. I've got to get a hold of Master Zhang. Haven't been able to yet, so I'm going to try to visit his place maybe in August. We may have a on location up in Wexford at his Taekwondo place. So we'll see. Keep that up. The We Love Gumbo. We're looking at August 22nd. There's rumors that it may get canceled because of the worry about COVID and the recent deaths that they had. So we'll see what happens there. And I've had a few people ask me when we're going to get back out there. Well, sad news, Olive Oil's Pizzeria in Brookline closed down. So we're going to need a new location. So we'll be out there looking for another location or two to do shows when we're allowed to go out. It's a little difficult with some restaurants. My favorite restaurant group, Big Burrito, with Kaya's, Soba, Mad Mex, they're closing down all their restaurants but Mad Mex because they can't make money at their restaurants. It's a really good restaurants that they have, 25% occupancy. So it's a business decision. They're shutting down their restaurants. Wow. And they'll leave Mad Mex open, and that's a good place, Smoking Jim. If you like Mexican food, look for Mad Mex. I think there's one in Monroeville.
Never had it.
I think there's one out there.
Al Caponcino. That's a nice place.
Yeah, they're good too. I've
Is
eaten
that
there.
Mexican?
Yes,
Yes.
it is.
There's one here, I think, in Bethel now.
Yes, there's
Oh, no, Emiliano.
Emiliano's is really
Yeah,
good.
I gotta try it.
The last restaurant that my wife and I went out for her birthday on March 10th
Yeah,
was Emiliano's.
we're going to have to check
you
it
guys
out.
ever have Indian food? How's
Yes,
that? How's that? I never had it.
I like it because you can make it spicy too. You can get spices in there. But we digress, so stay tuned for some on locations. We're going to come back with, believe it or not, some Penguin talk and other sports.
And his pass is broken up by Tatum. It's off! Randall Harris has it!
Where? What the heck happened? What's Penguin talk? Well, their season's going to be starting, what, August 1st?
August 1st, yeah. The Penguins
Yeah.
are going to actually play the very first hockey game, a preseason game against the Philadelphia Flyers before we start our 5-game series against the Montreal Canadiens. And Sid Crosby has been absent from practice. And the coaching staff is not allowed to give any updates on players' health or injuries. So
Rutherford gave an update.
He said the entire team will be ready to play next week.
Sid will be back.
So
we don't know what shape he's in or what injury he has. It could be lower.
And
it could
all
be upper
9
body.
players that were quarantined,
They're back.
They've been released to.
No, I saw that. And what's interesting, we're allowed to play hockey in Toronto, but the Blue Jays aren't allowed to play Major League Baseball because of the restrictions with COVID.
No,
and you'd have to be quarantined if you travel from the U.S. to Canada.
Because of the mess that has been created in the United States. The other countries don't want people flying in from the United States in their country because they've got the virus under control there. And the players that are in the NHL cities, Edmonton and Toronto, they're going to be quarantined, and
they'll be in that bubble.
And they'll be in that bubble, and so they've got a system in place. But you've got Major League Baseball teams, and you've got teams coming in from all the hot spots. They just don't want to run the risk.
No, it's just terrible with what's going on. We're in phase 1. And I don't want to get political about it or whatever's happening, but this is real. There's more deaths happening again. There's more sickness. And Dr. Fauci said we may hit 100,000 sick people a day, and we're in the 70,000 range. So it is getting much worse from when it was 20,000 a day. So it has gotten worse, and the teams have to prepare for it. That's why your essential sport, NFL, you got to watch what they're going to do because we may not even get a season.
Well, as it stands right now, there won't be a preseason.
Right.
And I know Jim jokes, nobody wants to go to training camp, nobody wants to play the preseason games. But this is what I envision happening if the season starts. Week 1 and week 2, you're going to have players that are going to get injured, and they're not going to be COVID related. They're going to be straight up injuries because they're not prepared to hit because you played football. And you know that the benefits of playing in training camp is you've got to condition your body to being hit.
You're football ready.
And to go out and start playing that game, as violent as the game is, and to not have any preparation.
I agree.
You're gonna have players hurt that aren't going to be able to play, and then on top of that, you've got a pandemic to deal with, and as well. And the thing I find hard to believe is how are these teams and their entourages going to travel into cities where the virus is running unchecked right now and go and play a game and come out of there without spreading it from there to wherever they're going back home? I'm skeptical. I'd love to see the game being played.
To you.
Well, one thing, China really put us behind the 8 ball on this stuff. And
well, I beg to differ with you, Jim.
Where'd you find that out?
His fountain of information.
What'd you watch?
His fountain of information.
It's not even a spigot.
that's where it came from.
So what does that mean?
It means we were
Guess where our infections came from?
China.
No, actually from Europe. Europe. They came from Europe. Because they can test the DNA of it, and they found out the people that came from Europe, the couple million people that came in here from Europe, which was a hot spot, they infected New York City. That's why it was so bad there, because what airport is one of the busiest in the world?
New York.
And guess what people work there? People from New York.
Well, let me ask
That's how they got infected. Now, here's how I base it. 1 + 1 = 2.
Okay.
That's the answer. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Now, you know what? Before we go down this rabbit hole, I'd like to change directions, if I may.
Oh,
if
yeah,
I may
go
be
ahead.
so bold. We've got a Major League Baseball season that's started, and it's a 60-game season. As Alan was mentioning, it's a sprint. It's not a marathon.
Yeah.
And, it's pretty much going to be a wide open field. And I think some of the things that we're seeing, I know people have been dying for 4 months. They haven't been able to criticize the Pirates, and I know it must have just tore their guts out because we play one preseason game and it starts. And, and I'll be honest with you, these players haven't played a live baseball game in 4 months.
Yeah.
And you've got relief pitchers who are now facing live batters in game situations,
Right.
which they haven't done in 4 months. And I think the problems that you were seeing with the Pittsburgh Pirates Saturday night, last night, that you will see tomorrow night, you're going to be seeing across the board, across the major leagues, because every team has the same limitations, because everybody was shut down. Some teams were able to practice more.
You've been saying that for 9 years.
And to be honest with you,
He's
it
consistent.
appears that the starting pitchers seem to be ahead of the relief pitchers.
I was just going to interrupt you and say it's unusual to have starting pitchers ahead of the relief pitchers, but it shows the lack of playing games. And that's
Yes,
what
it
you're
does.
going to have. It'll take, like, I'm interested in the first 20 games.
Well,
that's what I'm interested
and
in,
here's
that first 20.
you know, and the Pirates have had some players test positive for COVID. One of the biggest was Gregory Polanco. Also, Bob Walk, the announcer for the Pirates,
Yes.
had tested positive. He brought some things to light when he was discussing last night's game. And some of the players, now he watches the Pirates, he watches all their spring training practices, all their games, 162 regular season games. He knows these players intimately. And one of the things that was surprising him yesterday was the lack of velocity on some of the relief pitchers' pitches, which basically tells you their arms aren't
not
ready
ready.
yet. They're not ready yet. They're going to get there. The only thing that's going to get them there is to get
Playing.
in there and start firing the ball.
I need some. I got a question for the experts. Let's put baseball aside for a minute because it doesn't count in this scenario, right?
In your scenario.
In this scenario. Now, basketball and hockey would be over right now.
Correct.
So how do you guys feel about them starting the season? When is going to be their off season? If you had your way, would you have just told hockey and basketball shut it down and just pick up when the regular season starts?
I'll answer you quickly. I needed them to finish each season when it was possible to do it, which they are doing. I wanted to see completion of each season.
Well, and here's what my thing is. These guys went through training camp, and they played 85, almost 90% of their regular season. Mm-hmm. And they've committed that much of their lives to achieving a goal, okay? And I think that it's right that they should have a chance to try to win that championship that they were all training and playing for, okay? Because at this point, they're not playing for the money. They're playing for the chance to be a champion, okay? So
just like you wanted to win the 400.
You know, and to take that away from them and to not have a champion for this year, if it's possible to safely do it, and I think with the hockey players and the basketball players, playing in a bubble, quarantined, gives them their best opportunity to determine a champion. And do I feel that whichever team wins the Stanley Cup, whichever wins the Larry O'Brien trophy for basketball is the champion? Yes, 100% they would be considered a legitimate champion.
And it's closure to the season. Yeah, it's closure of something
and the
you
next
started.
day they start the new season.
No, within a month or two.
Well, you know what?
couple months.
They'll work that out. They'll work that out. But you know what? With basketball players and hockey players, these guys play year round anyhow. You know, I mean, tell me, you know a basketball player that when the season's over, he isn't playing pickup games, 3, 4, 5 of them a day, every day during the
Or
off season.
3-on-3 games.
Because that's what they do. They
But I
live
ain't
for
forced
basketball.
to see it. I mean, they're not forcing that down my. They do. Oh, you know, I'm just saying they deserve. Still, the season's over. The new training camp's getting ready to start. I just think it's ridiculous.
Well, I don't think
And
they're
I
going to
think you
start
do
on.
too.
They're not going to start on time. The seasons will be.
It'll
pushed
be
back.
late.
It'll be.
Once one domino, like you said, once one domino falls.
Yeah, you got that right, my friend.
What's it matter if you got sports? So you have sports a couple months later.
I watched the Japan baseball every morning at 7 o'clock.
You don't even know what's going
Yeah,
on.
because it's a Korean baseball organization.
Is that Korean?
You don't know what's even happening there.
Like you can tell the difference.
They're shorter
Okay.
and they're not as
good.
powerful.
They're good.
Yeah, no, they play a good brand of baseball. They
Yeah,
learned
no
from the
fans.
Americans.
They got robots cheer.
Well,
Blow-up dolls.
what should you say? What did you say that they shouldn't even play the playoffs? That's what you're saying.
It's season's over. The season would be over. Let it go. on to 2020.
No, I can't
Now,
agree with
baseball,
that.
if you want to do that, fine, because this is still baseball season. It'd be right after the All-Star. I think baseball doing a great job. No fans. It's a perfect sport for no
NFL's going to
fans.
have the same
NFL's
thing.
going to have the same thing, my friend.
Or they're not going to
You
play.
can all you want, but I can promise you, there's not going to be any fans in
don't
the
promise
scene
me
at
Well,
Heinz
Snickers.
Field.
We'll continue this discussion off air. Hope you enjoyed the show. Please stay Joey strong.